From 1945 to 1991, Albania found itself in the clutches of a dictator, Enver Hoxha. A communist leader, Hoxha seized power after World War II. He promised prosperity and equality, but his rule quickly turned into a nightmare. Hoxha's paranoia and thirst for absolute control led him to establish one of the most brutal and isolated regimes in history. Imagine North Korea, but even more cut off. Hoxha's early years saw him align with the Soviet Union. He mirrored Stalin's tactics, eliminating rivals and crushing dissent, but Hoxha was no puppet. He broke with the Soviets in 1961. He then cozied up to China, seeing in Mao Zedong a kindred spirit. This alliance, too, would crumble in 1978, leaving Albania utterly alone. Hoxha's ideology, Hoxhaism, was a toxic cocktail of extreme communism and nationalism. He demonized foreign influence, seeing enemies everywhere. This paranoia seeped into every aspect of Albanian life. People lived in constant fear of the Sigurimi, Hoxha's secret police. By the mid-1970s, Hoxha's grip on Albania had reached suffocating levels. He sealed the borders shut, turning the country into a giant prison. Travel abroad became impossible for ordinary citizens. Even contact with the outside world was severely restricted. Hoxha's regime went to extraordinary lengths to prevent information from entering or leaving Albania. Foreign radio broadcasts were jammed, and possession of illegal publications carried severe penalties. Albanians were force-fed a steady diet of propaganda. They were told theirs was a socialist paradise, while the rest of the world languished in capitalist misery. This isolation had a devastating impact on Albania's development. Cut off from the global community, the country stagnated economically and technologically. Basic goods were scarce, and the quality of life for most Albanians plummeted. Hoxha's regime, however, remained oblivious to the suffering it inflicted, more concerned with maintaining its grip on power. One of Hoxha's most shocking acts was his brutal suppression of religion. In 1967, he declared Albania the world's first atheist state. All forms of worship were outlawed and religious institutions were systematically destroyed or converted for secular use. Mosques were turned into warehouses, churches into sports halls. Priests and imams were imprisoned, tortured, or even executed. Possessing religious objects like a Bible or a Quran could land you in serious trouble. Hoxha's regime aimed to eradicate faith entirely, replacing it with unwavering devotion to the Communist Party. This attack on religion had a profound impact on Albanian society. For centuries, faith had been an integral part of the cultural fabric, providing solace and guidance. Hoxha ripped that away, leaving a void filled only by fear and suspicion. The consequences of this religious persecution continue to be felt in Albania today. Hoxha's brand of communism extended its control over every aspect of the economy. Private property was abolished, with land and businesses seized by the state. Farmers were forced onto collective farms, their land and livestock confiscated. The promise was increased productivity and shared prosperity. The reality was inefficiency, shortages, and widespread resentment. This collectivization had a devastating impact on agricultural production. Farmers, stripped of their land and independence, lacked the incentive to work hard. Food shortages became common, and the quality of life in rural areas deteriorated significantly. Hoxha's regime, however, remained unyielding, blaming any economic woes on internal enemies and foreign saboteurs. The abolition of private property extended to urban areas as well. Small businesses were nationalized, and entrepreneurship was effectively stifled. The result was a stagnant economy with limited opportunities for advancement. Hoxha's regime, however, touted its socialist policies as a success, claiming to have created a classless society free from exploitation. The reality, of course, was far different.